Hey everybody, welcome back to Blabbin about Slabbin, and today we're going to talk about making a hobby plan and sticking to it until you can't stick to it anymore, and then you've got to pivot. So, Chris, what did it start with?
Oh man, yeah, Jeff and I had a plan. If there's one player underrepresented in our individual collections and shared collections, it's Aaron Judge, and definitely because we didn't think his body was going to hold up. We've gone through our 30s. We know what it's like to try and run around on a softball field and stay healthy. So doing it on a baseball field seemed impossible, but we were wrong. We've admitted we're wrong, and we decided it was time. It was time to get into the Aaron Judge market a little bit more seriously than we ever thought we would.
Yeah. So what led to that was we thought we might have some extra money. We made a purchase of a card, a really nice card that we had wanted. There it is. The Bowman Chrome Ohtani refractor, and this refractor looks so good, Chris.
Yeah, the pop is high. It's over 100 at this point.
The prices of these kept climbing, but we decided to get one, and we ended up getting enough money together to get it for $6,000 for a nicely centered Gem Mint 10.
And then within a month, that price was blown away.
Yeah,
and we got an offer. We got an offer we couldn't refuse.
Yes, that seemed cheap by comparison, and we thought, well, boy, if we could really sell this for $9,500, which is what it was looking at, it's hard to turn down that profit.
Absolutely, and that just gives us a nice base in the bank to go Judge hunting. So that was the plan. So we had that to start with, and then we sent a whole bunch of stuff to consignment. Some pretty big cards. Both that Jeff and I share and that we have, individually. We decided we were going to push our chips in to go after a really nice Aaron Judge. So some of the stuff we consigned, a finest red Machado auto rookie card, a Topps Chrome red Bryce Harper refractor, a David Ortiz SSP with Pujols, and a couple individual cards. I sent off, and this one hurt me, Jeff. I sent off my red Topps Chrome Freddie Freeman rookie auto.
Yeah, that's a hard one to give up. And I sent a handful of big Giannis cards that I was ready to part with.
Yeah, but if we're gonna make a move like this, we had to go. You have to do it. Anything we're doing is worth doing right.
Yeah,
so we were all in.
Yeah, we thought these are cards we only wanted to move if we had a plan, and we did have that plan. Our plan was to go after a big Judge. Looking at 2013 specifically, his first Bowman autos, and there were a couple that were ending right around the same time as our consignment cards were ending, Chris.
They were, and unfortunately they ended just before our consignment ended, and our hopes of a nice blue, or fingers crossed everything goes well, maybe we could stumble into a gold. Those hopes were immediately and brutally dashed by a Fanatics Collect auction that ended late April. I want to say April 24th, I think is when it ended, 24th or 25th.
Yes.
And it hit, some prices were hit that we weren't expecting. And so we realized pretty quickly, Jeff, that what we were about to have in our bank accounts, it wasn't going to get it done.
No.
I was going to say, you also know that those sales, once they hit, all the available, there weren't a ton of available ones sitting on eBay, but as soon as those sales hit, asking prices went about 50% higher than what those sales were. And today, which is now June, second week of June, those same cards are still up there, and the asking prices are almost 2 times what the Fanatics Collect auctions ended at. So sales are going to be tough, and we had to admit it wasn't going to happen. We had blown the timing.
Right. And sometimes that happens. We've talked about cards not wanting to sell cards to buy other cards until we know we can buy those other cards, but that doesn't always work. And in this case, it did not work. So those cards were already gone. They were already sold. So we decided to pivot. And what better place to pivot than right back to Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of made a quick 180-degree turn. And so then now the question became, like, we have this little bank here. What big Ohtani, do we want to go after? And interestingly, and very fortuitously for Jeff and I, some stuff that a couple cards that we both individually like, sort of, I don't want to say fell out of the sky, but became available in a way that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So instead of buying one big card combined, we actually each took our halves and bought some Ohtani stuff that we both individually absolutely love.
We did. Yeah. And cards that don't often come up for sale. So when they did, Chris thought it was his chance to jump at it, and I thought it was my chance to jump at mine. And so that's what we did.
Yeah. Now I realize that talking about dividing up some sale, it sounds like a divorce was happening, but guys, don't worry. Everything was very amicable. You know, we know what each other likes. That sounds weird, but yeah, this worked out, I think, really well for both of us. So Jeff, do you want to go first?
Sure. So recently, within the last 6 months or so, I've really been drawn to heritage throwbacks. Now they're no longer being made, these heritage throwbacks, but when they were one of the best cards that Heritage made. Very low printed, not exact print numbers on these, Chris, but most people estimate maybe 25, 30-ish, something like that. And it features a player in a throwback uniform that they wore during the previous season. And so I managed to find some of Ohtani. And to my knowledge, Ohtani has 3 of them. All right, so we'll go in reverse order of appearance. His most recent card, and I'm going to make myself a little bigger here. This is from 2022 Heritage. There's the Ohtani throwback. No buttons on those uniforms. See the DH pitcher designation there, as is the Heritage.
Oh man, the elastic waistband on those old Angels jerseys, that gives off Naked Gun vibes, doesn't it, Jeff?
It sure is. Yeah, this seems like circa early to mid 80s. The Brewers played the Angels in the 82 LCS, and this is the kind of uniform they had.
That card is so cool. What's the pop on that one, Jeff?
Okay, the pop on that one is there's 11 total of these at PSA, 2 10s, and this one's a 9.
That's awesome.
There's just not many of them around. His next card was 2020. I believe this is even an older Angels uniform. Maybe an Angels fan who's watching can let us know. It's pretty similar, but it's a little bit older. He's got the red helmet on here. You could tell it's a little bit off center, so this is a 9. There is only 1 10 of this this particular throwback. There's 8 total at PSA.
Those 2020s are impossible gems with all those black borders. I don't see any white on there. It presents really well. And man, they're giving him some great hitting images on these cards, Jeff.
Yes. They seem to know by then for somehow that his hitting images were going to be key. But this was my very favorite card and the one I've been looking for the longest. Here's his 2019 throwback with the giant rookie cup on there. And this is a 10.
Yeah, aesthetically, I mean, I think that's got to be one of his, at least that's a top 5 in just pure visual aesthetics. What an absolutely gorgeous baseball card. Look how big that trophy is.
Look at that helmet, the 2-tone helmet to go with uniform. Yeah, so this one, there's actually 16 of these at PSA, and there are 9 10s.
That's such, I mean, I do wonder why they didn't put the rookie cup in the right corner, but just I don't like to see a guy's glutes get covered up, but
seems like there'd be a lot more room over there.
Yeah, that card is incredible. That just visually, man, that checks off a lot of boxes.
So these are my 3 Ohtani cards that I picked up with that judge money.
Okay, so while Jeff was finalizing a deal for those, and it is very cool when people have been in the hobby for a while. I mean, Jeff's been in the hobby for a good amount of time now, and still our tastes can change. Like 3 years ago, heritage throwbacks weren't something you were necessarily targeting, and it's fun to see you find something different and decide you need them. And they are very, very cool cards. I think Yelich has quite a few.
Yes. I've got a really nice Yelich, and that probably was the first. That was the first throwback I got, and that's what really got me into it. Looking at all the old Brewer uniforms, and then seeing some of my other favorite players in those uniforms. It's a disappointment that Heritage just stopped making them. I believe they're still making the City Connect scarce versions of these cards, but no longer the throwbacks. So, Chris, what did you decide to do with your judge money?
Yeah, I didn't really have a particular target like you did, but what did happen is something absolutely magical in the sense that a collector helped another collector. So I got a message out of the blue from our very own Shelly the Turtle Great YouTube channel, big fan, supporter of our show. And he told me he was at a card show in Pittsburgh, Jeff. And in between two Pokemon tables, he thought he saw something, went back, did like a triple take, and took a picture of it and sent it to me. And he's like, I know you're obsessed with this card. Do you want me to put you in touch with this dealer? And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe another copy of this card was out in the wild. And yeah, so I asked him to. He sent the dealer sent his Instagram handle, and he and I started chatting. And this guy that I have never met in my life, who was at a card show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, graduated from the same high school as me, Jeff, 10 years later than me. Anyway, long-winded way of saying, one thing led to another. I ended up buying this card from him. And this card, before I show it to you, I just want to show you guys something else I had to do. I didn't quite have enough money. So I had to, not only did that Red Freeman have to leave my PC, but so did these two cards. The Austin Riley 2019 update SP with the sticker auto. This was, full disclosure, the last sticker auto in my collection. I kept it because I love Austin Riley, and this card is incredibly rare. It's as close as I've ever come to eating peanut M&Ms and enjoying it, Jeff. Is just looking at this card. If I can't handle flavors combined, I'm a regular M&M guy, but this card made me try them again. And then this Bryce Harper opening day SSP with blooper. If you follow our blind reveals, I had just gemmed this card about maybe 2 weeks earlier, maybe 3 weeks earlier. I posted it on Instagram, and a couple guys had reached out, huge Philly Harper collectors. And it was a card I'd expected to be in my PC for a long time. But when stuff like this becomes available, the things we think really matter to us suddenly become expendable, don't they, Jeff?
Yeah, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Okay.
And
all right,
what
I'm going to try
card?
Yeah. I'm going to try to make myself bigger to show you guys the card that, again, extra thanks to Shelly the Turtle. I sent him a thank you gift, an Ozzy Albies card, which now it seems very like I'm underappreciating what he did for me. But anyway, so here we go. This is what popped up at a card show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So this is the 2020 Stadium Club Chrome Ohtani Auto. It's a card I talk about a lot. And it's a card I look at every single day. I just want to point out this is one of 3 PSA 10s of this auto that exist. There are 2 base PSA 10s. Actually, I'm sorry, one of 4. There's 2 base PSA 10s. The Superfractor auto is a PSA 10. And then there's this. This is the only 1010 out there. So while I'm not a huge auto grade guy, the fact that it's the only one, man, cool. My heart rate was high, Jeff, as you know.
Well, that picture, as we said, that is made for an auto. There's just not that many of them. So to get one with the auto on there is incredible. Yeah, I think we've said it before. I believe the general consensus number from collectors, about 20 total of this exists. There's shimmers numbered out of 5, there's reds numbered out of 5, and there are 6 base cards graded with PSA. So I think 5, 5, and 10 seems like about an appropriate estimation. Yeah. So yeah, this card makes me happy. I've never taken Viagra, Jeff, but with this card, I feel like I'm never going to have to. We'll see. And if you've been paying attention to our channel, to some of our videos, you might think you're seeing something that already happened, and you definitely are. So let me just show this real quick. That Ohtani is actually the second copy of this card that I have been able to track down. And I got to tell you, I feel kind of crazy having done this. And maybe I should. I don't know. But looking at these 2 cards, like I said, my heart literally thumps out of my chest. I mean, I feel like that scene at Jim Carrey in The Mask. This is probably my favorite card that I've ever seen. If there are only 20 copies of this auto, if I end up selling all my Freemans and Acuñas and everything, and I'm just grabbing copies of this, I feel like there's worse ways to spend a life, True. But yeah, I am extremely pumped, beyond ecstatic to have 2 copies of this. Just extremely fortunate as well. Yeah, it's so cool to see those 2 together. Yeah, it's a perfect baseball card. Well, congratulations on the pickup. awesome addition to the collection. And it's just a good example of, even when things don't go to plan, like they didn't in this case, it can still turn out to be really good.
Yeah, and I just want to say, it's worth pointing out that we had this sort of pot, this bank that we had set up, and we didn't. I think it's important that, like, to point out, like, our main goal became unachievable, but a lot of other stuff was out there, and there was a strong temptation. Like, PayPal can burn a hole in your digital pocket as well, and there were a lot of stuff that Jeff and I weren't crazy about that we thought about just grabbing because we could, but thankfully, our collective willpower, 90% of which came from Jeff, prevented us from, I think, making a purchase that we wouldn't have loved just because we could have. So it's always better. Be patient if you can, and something you really, really like will surface if you can be patient.
Yeah, good point. It was disappointing when those judge sales ended right before our auctions did, and we knew that it was looking less and less likely that we'd be able to get the judge card that we wanted. So yes, in that disappointment, it's easy to look for alternative ways to spend that money. But thankfully, we did hold strong, at least long enough to get our eyes on these ones. So
right,
it worked out well.
Unfortunately, we are still left with a glaring judge hole, in our collections. And since we made this plan and unsuccessfully carried it out, I think he's hit probably 15 home runs. I bet he hit 3 while we were recording this video, Jeff.
Yes, and the prices probably just keep going up. So those cards might be permanently out of reach for us, but at least we have something good to show for it.
Yes.
Got that. I've got these beauties. So let us know in the comments what you think. If we were foolish to make the original move before knowing we could get the card we wanted, any and all thoughts are appreciated. Thanks for tuning in, and let us know if you've had a similar situation where you sold a card and in anticipation of buying something, and then were unable to do that, and what you pivoted to. It'd be great to hear.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.